Well, here it's about 10:30 in the morning. We've some firemen here at the home going to give some information about fire safety here at the home. They got a pretty good turnout here, so we'll see what the questions and answers will be. Should be pretty interesting. It looks like they're about ready to start, maybe.
Good morning. Hope you don't mind me talking with Starbucks in my hand, but I haven't had enough caffeine yet. Just a little introduction. My name is Will Caldwell. I work at Fire Station 9. We're not the normal company that would respond here first. Actually, Station 3 right down the road on El Vista would respond, but they asked us to come and fill in for them. They had some other training obligations this morning, so here we are. This is Captain Brian Desir and firefighter Tommy Fritz. We're here to talk to you guys about some fire safety and also kind of an evacuation plan. Just a really brief overview. The ultimate goal for any fire-related incident in here is to get you guys to, or keep you guys in a place where it's safe. So if you're in your room and the fire is not directly affected in your room, close the door if you're able to do so, and stay in place. There should be an evacuation plan in place. We were just speaking to your head of maintenance, and there's probably a systematic way that we can come and get you out or escort you to a safer location or out of the building. And then also, if there is any fire-related incident here, it's a confirmed fire here, we're gonna have a lot of people, a lot of personnel here. And we have a very systematic way that we come here to the scene. We lay out assignments that we have, and then we have a systematic way that we go through the building and start assisting with removal of victims. These types of incidents are like large-scale incidents, so they take a lot of effort. Sometimes they take a lot of time. You just have to be patient with us. Anything else? Brief overview? Yeah. This is sprinkler, correct? Yeah. So this is a sprinkler building, and we have a way to augment the sprinkler system, so we can actually flow water into the sprinkler system. If it hasn't activated on its own, we can augment the sprinkler system. Do you have any questions on anything? That's the big one. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
So if we're staying in our room and we're told to activate the sprinkler system that's in our room.
You guys all have access to the sprinkler system in your room, like a pool station or pool handle?
No.
Okay.
If your area is affected, it'll automatically flow.
And we still stay in the room.
Yeah. So what happens is, if it's in your room, or if there's a fire directly in your living quarters, you want to get away from there as possible, or as quickly as you can. After that, shut the door behind you, and then notify someone as quickly as you possibly can. Hey, there's a fire in my room. I'm in this room, and then that gives us an idea of where we're going to go and put fire out. If that makes sense.
So the immediately affected area, we will personally evacuate people out of.
Yes.
But if it's an area that's not affected, it's better to shelter in place. It causes less foot traffic in the hallways and allows us to get in and out and get what we need to get done faster.
And sometimes, for example, this is a fairly common type of fire call that we have, but a smoking air conditioning unit on the roof, right? They have belts that go bad and it fills the building with smoke. Well, that gets alarmed for us as a working structure fire. So we have to figure out where the smoke's coming from. And so there may not be actually injuries from fire, but from smoke inhalation. So we want to get you guys to a clean air environment as quickly as we can. And then there's a second component to that, which is there's an emergency medical side of things where we're what's called triage and figure out who's sick and who needs to go to the hospital because they've inhaled basically too much smoke. If that makes sense. It's a very long, complicated process. We try to get it done as quickly as we possibly can. But just be patient with us because there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. Anybody else? Any other questions? We're happy to answer any of them. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm up on the 3rd floor, and so a fire breaks out and I cannot get out of the room. Do I jump out the window or what is the procedure?
If a fire breaks out in your room,
That I couldn't get out of the room. It's not in my room, but it's like in the hallway and I can't get out of the room.
I would highly recommend shut the door. If you're on the third floor, I wouldn't jump out the window. But someone will be able to locate you. And we have ways that we can get you down.
If I throw a sheet out the window or what? No?
I would stay right there. We have ladders they can reach the 3rd floor, so we'll come and get you. We do a search. It's required that we do a search on every fire. There's a primary search and a secondary search. One way or another, you will be located, and one way or another, we will get you down as quickly as we possibly can.
Okay.
Anything else to add on that?
Again, just emphasizing it's a sprinkler building, so the chance of a fire getting out of hand are very slim here. So it'd almost be like a smoke issue, like he was saying with air conditioning unit, or some sort of fire that's kept in check by the sprinklers, and it's going to create a lot of smoke.
Yes, sir.
When the sprinklers go on, that they go on everywhere?
Just the affected area.
Usually just the affected area, and all of these buildings have an alarm panel. So one of the things that we do is lobby control. It's one of our assignments, and we'll have a dedicated company that goes to the alarm panel, and it'll be able to tell us exactly where that sprinkler alarm is, or that sprinkler activation is, excuse me. And that'll give us an idea of exactly where the issue's at.
Do we have signs that point to the alarm panel in the hallway?
You would probably never have to worry about the alarm panel yourself, but I'm sure the head of maintenance would have an idea exactly where that's at. He's got keys to it, and one of the assignments, like if he shows up here and there's smoke in this building, one of the assignments that he's going to give is lobbying systems, and that person is going to go find this gentleman back here and go, "Where's your alarm panel?" And we're going to go take a walk, and we're going to go see what we have and where it's located, and then he's going to relay that back to him. Anybody else? Please ask.
Gotta be some more questions.
Yeah. Anything about our process? Anything else?
So when you close your door,
Mm-hmm.
you go to the floor, you don't stand up.
If it's smoky, yeah, try to get as low as you possibly can. That's a good rule of thumb. But if you have like smoke coming under the door, you can always use sheets to put in front of the gaps. But yeah, if it's a hot, smoky environment, get as low as you possibly can, and wherever the smoke's coming from, try to separate yourself from that. So close doors, close windows, whatever you have available to you, to try to get some separation there. And then if you have cell phones or room phones or whatever you have, call them, "Hey, look, I've got smoke in my room. I need someone to come get me." Yes, sir.
We have a lot of people that have walkers. How do you get them and the walkers out at the same time?
A lot of personnel, a lot of help, but it gets done. Captain, anything on that? We basically have a whole probably evacuation dedicated group.
So in any instance where we're doing evacuations for even a first alarm fire, we're gonna have up to 30 personnel here, and so there's lots of hands to help. But again, that kind of goes towards the shelter in place. That helps us out, because if everybody's trying to get out in the hallway in an unaffected area, then that ties us up more to where we can't do other things. So there's plenty of hands and lots of personnel along for any.
Well, walkers down the stairway is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'd be carrying that.
Yeah. But one way or another, we get you going.
Okay.
I think I saw one more hand.
I was just going to ask something similar. I guess I didn't hear what he said, but I have different friends that lives here too that are on know, walkers or whatever, and is there some way that you would know, like, which floor, where they live or something on their walkers if there was an emergency?
So that's a really good question. So one of the most difficult things, especially when you have people scattered around the building, you guys aren't going to always be in the same area at the same time. And so accountability, like we want to be able to account for everyone that's here and make sure that wherever the safe location is, that we have everyone there. That's where the facility is going to come in and be able to help us, the staff here. They're all familiar with you, they all know who you are. And if we're missing someone, first of all, we want to know, like, we're going to ask, how many people do you have living here? How many people do you have working here? And they should have that number every day. They should know exactly how many people are in the building. That's not counting visitors or anything else, but how many residents we have here at a time. And then I'm assuming when someone comes and visits, there's probably a check-in and check-out policy. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure. All I know is that we had an emergency where everybody was supposed to, you know, take cover because it was like similar to a hurricane or something that they put a warning over my phone.
Okay.
And everybody that lives here.
Oh, like a
we
weather
need to
warning? Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
Like, are you talking about like a weather warning or?
Yeah, it never did hit here, but we were given.
It was probably the tornado, if I would imagine.
Is that what it was? But
Yeah.
anyway, I just did what they told me to do,
Mhm.
and I was the only one on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
I thought I misunderstood. So-
Yeah, if you don't have the ability to get down or maybe you didn't quite hear or whatever the reason, like that's one of the biggest challenges for us is accountability. So we want to find whoever on the staff is familiar with how many people are here, both working and residents, and if there's visitors or not. And that way, when we conduct a search or we start removing people, once we get who we think everyone's out, now we're going to do a count and make sure that all staff and all residences and all visitors are all out of the building. And if we're missing someone, we're gonna need help from the staff here. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Attention status. Emergency medical
Go ahead.
call. County 501. Either way. Station 732.
Do you have a question, ma'am?
Emergency medical call.
Oh, will heavy smoke start the sprinklers or does it have to be fire?
No, heat. Anything heat usually. I think smoke. Some of them are reactive to smoke, but
Like a sensor, yeah. So
Yeah.
the smoke will set off an alarm, but the heat will set off the sprinklers.
Yeah.
If it gets hot enough, it's called a fusible link. And so when it gets to a certain temperature, it'll bust, and that will allow the flow of water out of the sprinklers. So it has to get pretty hot for that to activate. So the alarm and the smoke detectors will always be the first thing that notify everybody. And then the sprinklers will come in the case of an actual fire.
anything else? Please ask.
Thinking about it.
Yes, sir.
When are you guys gonna get a raise?
We just come to work. We don't worry about that stuff. Go ahead.
She wants to, so I was just wondering.
Huh? You want the microphone? Okay. What's that? Oh, how are we gonna sing? If one of us is gonna sing, it's gonna be this gentleman up here in the hat. He's actually a really good YMCA. Anybody else? Please ask.
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Has there ever been in this area, has there ever been a place, you know, where we would get something that would be very difficult, you know, for you in a fire?
Like a facility like this? I mean, yeah, actually, yes. Parkview was 4 or 5 years ago, I believe. And that was actually a very difficult, there's actually video like surveillance camera video of the facility. So it started in a room, and then the door opened and it came all the way down the hall. And one thing that happens with smoke, so smoke actually burns if it gets hot enough. So all the smoke rolled down the room, and nobody really closed the doors. So the smoke just started to fill up rooms, and it is a very complicated process. It's something that we have to do rapidly to get in and get people out, get them to safety. Not to mention, we also have a fire to put out as well. And so, rather than it just being the affected room, since that door was opened, then it affects the whole wing of the building. And so now it becomes a much bigger incident. It's a lot more dangerous for everyone that's there. So yeah, we've had several over the years of very difficult buildings or situations like that.
Well, we are very, very happy for you guys to be here, if there's anything like that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we actually train on, and after an incident, we do a post-incident review. We all come together, and maybe some things that we could have done differently or better, or something that we didn't recognize that we should have, or there's something to learn from all of it. So through many incidences like that, we've actually gotten pretty good at it.
Good.
Yeah. So, and our chiefs and our captains actually drive our training, and they do a really good job of getting us together and actually practicing this stuff. So, yeah, it's a long process, and sometimes it's a learning process, but we've become pretty efficient at it.
That's good. Well, thank you for telling
Yeah.
us all about that.
Anytime. Anything else? I hope we answered anything that you guys had. Any questions that you had? I've been kind of spitfiring up here. I didn't really know what I was going to be talking about. So, but yeah. Any questions about the layout of the building or like the fire evacuation plan? There is a fire evacuation plan in place, and it's probably a good idea to be familiar with that. Kind of what takes place if there is an incident, and I'm sure it's on paper, and I'm sure you can probably read about it. And then also be familiar with the building. Like, it's very easy to become disoriented and lost, and rather than try to find your way out and you don't know where you're at, stay put. Find a safe place, shelter in place, and stay put, and someone will find you. Anything else? Yeah, anything? Yeah? No other questions? Going once, going twice? All right. Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it.
I have one question.
Yes, sir?
You introduced 3 guys, you got 4 up there.
This is a student that we have as a ride-along. His name is Trey. I don't know his last name, but he's a EMS student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we actually just met. He just met all of us today. We just met him today.
Okay.
We have ride-alongs for like EMT school, and so it's a good place for him to learn and come and hang out. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it.